Hey y'all, so I noticed there's been just a little confusion as to whenever we're dealing with fractions and if we have integers in them, what they actually wind up being in the end whenever you're dealing with the final answer. And basically, the answer is whenever you're dealing with fractions, all that fractions really are just division problems. Okay, this line represents the actual division happening. So whenever you're dealing with fractions and how they come out in the end, you just have to think about your integer rules whenever you are dividing. Okay, so let's do that with these four. So starting here, we have a -3, and if you think about it in division ways, this says -3 divided by -1. Okay, so whenever you're trying to simplify to see what this becomes, since they both have the same sign there, that means this answer is really going to wind up being a positive answer. Okay, so whenever you wind up dealing with this fraction with a negative and a negative, it actually turns into a positive. And then your answer is just +3 here. Same process with this one, okay? You see how you have a negative divided by a positive? This actually winds up being -3/1. It turns, since there's only one negative in the fraction, it turns basically the entire fraction negative, okay? And then whenever you're simplifying it, you get -3 as your answer. Same thing here. We've got a positive divided by a negative. So that would actually turn, once again, our entire fraction negative. And so whenever you're trying to simplify to get a whole number there, it would be -3. And this one, of course, is just plain and simple. It's two positives. So we know that that's going to be the same exact thing. And there we go. That's it. So let's try the same thing over on this side. Okay, this time we're not going to turn them into whole numbers. We're going to leave them as fractions. So starting with this one, we've got a negative divided by a negative. So with our integer rules as far as dividing, this is actually going to turn into a completely positive fraction. And that's it. All right, what about here? We've got a positive divided by a negative. Okay, that's going to turn the fraction into a negative fraction because one of those is negative. And that's just our dividing with integers rules that we're applying right here. Same thing with this one. We've got a negative divided by a positive. That means our fraction has to be a negative. And then, of course, the same old easy one. A positive and a positive just equal a positive. All right, so try to do that same thing on the warm-up.